My friends, history carries weight, the jersey commands respect, and when the Pittsburgh Steelers take the field on Monday Night Football, something different happens. The Steelers didn't just win another game, they sent a message to the entire league. Right after halftime, you could feel the switch flip, the change in attitude, the confidence taking over Acrisure Stadium. It was the most complete performance of the season. A dominant, intense, physical team playing Steelers football the way the fan base knows and expects. The final 28-15 score doesn't even tell half the story. Early in the fourth quarter, with a 28-3 lead, the game was already under total control, and the message was loud and clear. Pittsburgh is alive, strong, and locked in. Today, we're breaking down what this game truly means, the signals this team is sending, and why this moment could be a turning point in the season. So get comfortable, because there's a lot to talk about. And before we get started, hit that like button, support the channel, and roll with us, because this is Steelers Nation, all the way. From the moment the Steelers came out of the locker room, the tone changed. The defense dictated everything. Miami's offense, which came in red hot and riding a 4-game win streak, simply had no answers. At one point in the game, Tua Tagovailoa had barely cracked 60 passing yards, and what he eventually finished with was largely the product of late-game situations that didn't reflect the true flow of the night. This was dominance, plain and simple, especially considering the circumstances. All week, the narrative centered on what the Steelers didn't have. No TJ Watt, no Derek Harmon. Against the Dolphins' rushing attack led by Devon Achane, many expected Pittsburgh to get gashed. Instead, the Steelers flipped the script. Achane was held to just 60 rushing yards, finishing with more production as a receiver than as a runner. That outcome alone tells you how well the front seven handled its responsibilities. This wasn't luck. This was discipline, physicality, and preparation showing up under the lights. Offensively, this felt like the version of the Steelers many fans have been waiting to see. Aaron Rodgers delivered one of his most efficient performances of the season, completing 23 of 27 passes for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. He controlled the tempo, protected the football, and made the right decision over and over again. There were no wasted plays, no forced throws, just smart quarterbacking in critical moments. If this is the level Rodgers can maintain, the entire ceiling of this team changes. The run game was equally important, and Kenny Gainwell continues to force the coaching staff's hand. He was clearly treated as the primary running back, handling early downs while Jaylen Warren worked in on third downs. Gainwell finished with 80 rushing yards, added 46 more through the air, and consistently moved the chains. His vision, efficiency, and ability to contribute as a receiver gave the offense balance and flexibility. This backfield duo is becoming a real strength, not just a compliment. The passing game spread the ball around, and that's what made it so difficult to defend. DK Metcalf led the way and delivered a statement moment with his touchdown, physically overpowering Minkah Fitzpatrick on the play. Marquez Valdes-Scantling made the most of his opportunity with a single catch that went for a touchdown, showing patience and professionalism after spending weeks on the practice squad. Contributions also came from Jonnu Smith, Darnell Washington, and Pat Freiermuth, reinforcing the idea that this offense can hurt you in multiple ways. Up front, Dylan Cook quietly had one of the most impressive nights of any Steelers left tackle this season. Rodgers stayed clean, and Cook's name was rarely mentioned, which is often the highest compliment an offensive lineman can receive. That performance mattered even more once the biggest concern of the night emerged. Isaac Seumalo left the game with a triceps injury, and that immediately cast a shadow over an otherwise dominant win. Triceps injuries can be serious, and the fact that he was ruled out quickly is not encouraging. Seumalo has been playing outstanding football over the past couple of months, and losing him would be a significant blow to an offensive line protecting a quarterback who relies on timing and pocket stability. The expectation is that Spencer Anderson would step in, with Ryan McCullum involved in jumbo packages, but this is an area that deserves close attention moving forward. Defensively, individual performances stood out everywhere you looked. Cameron Hayward anchored the front. Patrick Queen played with speed and authority. Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith held the edge. In the secondary, Asante Samuel Jr. delivered a moment that symbolized resilience and opportunity. Making his first start since spinal fusion surgery, and his first as a Steeler, Samuel came away with an interception in the first half, reading the coverage perfectly and capitalizing when Miami failed to occupy the flat. It was a powerful moment and a reminder of the depth this defense is developing. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, this game felt like more than just another win. The Steelers now sit with momentum, holding an advantage in the division and preparing for a massive matchup against the Detroit Lions. The offense looks sharper, the defense looks angry, and with reinforcements potentially on the way in the coming weeks, the timing couldn't be better for this team to find its identity. This was the kind of performance that restores belief, the kind that makes fans sit forward and start asking bigger questions about what this team can become if it continues on this path. Do you think this win marks a true turning point for the Steelers as they head into the final stretch of the season, or do you still need to see more before buying in? What makes this performance resonate even more is the context of where the Steelers were just weeks ago. For nearly 2 months, the conversation around this team was filled with frustration, uncertainty, and doubt, especially surrounding the offense. Aaron Rodgers didn't look comfortable. The rhythm wasn't there. Explosive plays were rare, and every game felt like it required perfection from the defense just to survive. Now, over the last 2 weeks, something has clearly shifted, and Monday night felt like the clearest proof yet that this wasn't a fluke. Rodgers looks like a quarterback who has rediscovered his confidence and timing. The ball is coming out quicker, the decisions are cleaner, and most importantly, he's attacking defenses instead of reacting to them. The connection with DK Metcalf is growing every week, especially on those intermediate throws over the middle where Rodgers has always done his best work. Add in the trust he's showing in role players like Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and suddenly this passing game feels unpredictable in the best possible way. Defenses can't just sit on one option anymore. Arthur Smith also deserves credit for what might have been his best overall coaching performance of the season. The first half wasn't explosive, but the halftime adjustments were outstanding. The Steelers came out with a clear plan, leaned into what was working, and kept Miami on its heels. This was easily the best second half the offense has played all year, and it showed a level of adaptability that had been missing earlier in the season. When you see an offense distributing the ball, controlling the clock, and finishing drives, that's a reflection of both execution and coaching. The running back usage was another subtle but important development. Kenny Gainwell has earned more than just carries. He's earned trust. His efficiency, vision, and ability to turn short gains into first downs keep this offense on schedule. Pairing him with Jaylen Warren gives the Steelers versatility, allowing them to adjust based on game flow without tipping their hand. That balance takes pressure off Rodgers and forces defenses to defend every blade of grass. On the defensive side, this game felt like a response. All week, the talk was about how the Steelers couldn't stop anyone, how injuries had exposed them, and how Miami's speed would overwhelm them. Instead, Pittsburgh delivered arguably its most complete four-quarter defensive effort of the season. The run fits were disciplined. The tackling was sharp. Coverage held up. Even without T.J. Watt and Derek Harmon, this unit played with edge and pride, shutting down one of the league's most dangerous offenses when it mattered most. And that's what makes the outlook so intriguing. If this is what the Steelers can do without key pieces, what happens when they start getting healthier? The possibility of Watt and Harmon returning adds another layer to a defense that already showed it can dominate. Pair that with an offense that finally looks synchronized, and suddenly this team becomes one that nobody in the AFC is eager to face, especially in cold weather games in Pittsburgh. The upcoming stretch only amplifies that feeling. The matchup with the Detroit Lions looms large, not just as another game, but as a potential statement. A win there could put the Steelers in position to control the division before Week 18, especially with Baltimore facing a challenging schedule of its own. These next few weeks will define whether this season is remembered as another solid campaign or the moment when everything finally came together at the right time. There will still be questions, particularly along the offensive line with Isaac Seumalo's injury. That situation can't be ignored, and it may ultimately test the depth and resilience of this roster. But for one night, the Steelers showed what they look like when all three phases are aligned, when preparation meets execution, and when confidence replaces hesitation. If you've been waiting for a reason to believe this team can make real noise, Monday night gave you plenty of it. Now it's about sustaining it, stacking performances, and proving that this wasn't just a great night, but the start of something bigger. If you're enjoying this deep dive and want more breakdowns like this, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a like on the video, and keep it locked right here for everything Steelers as this season reaches its most important stretch. There's also an emotional layer to this win that shouldn't be ignored, especially if you followed this team closely all season. This wasn't just about scheme or execution. This felt like a locker room that understands exactly where it stands in the season and what's at stake. Veterans stepped up. Young players answered the call. And for the first time in a while, the Steelers didn't look like a team trying to survive games. They looked like a team trying to impose its will. You could see it in the body language, the sideline energy, The way the defense flew to the ball even with a comfortable lead. That's not something you fake, and it's not something that shows up by accident. When a team reaches this point in the year and starts playing this brand of football, it usually means the message is landing and the urgency is real. Mike Tomlin teams have always been built for December, and this performance felt very much in line with that identity. What stands out most is how adaptable this roster suddenly looks. Early in the season, it felt like the Steelers needed everything to go perfectly to win. Now, they're showing they can win in different ways. They can lean on the run. They can spread the ball. They can dominate defensively even without their biggest stars. That flexibility is what separates dangerous teams from predictable ones once the calendar flips toward the postseason. There's also a growing sense that roles are becoming clearer. Gainwell isn't just a rotational piece anymore. Metcalf is becoming the tone setter in the passing game. The offensive line, despite injuries, is finding combinations that work. Defensively, players like Asante Samuel Jr. are seizing opportunities and turning them into momentum-shifting plays. These are the kinds of developments that quietly strengthen a team from the inside out. Of course, none of this guarantees anything. The NFL doesn't hand out rewards for one dominant performance. Consistency is the real test, and that's where the next few weeks will tell the true story. Can the offense maintain this efficiency? Can Rodgers continue playing mistake-free football? Can the defense replicate this level of physicality once opponents adjust? Those questions are still very real, and the margin for error gets smaller every week. But for now, this win matters because it changes the conversation. It replaces doubt with possibility. It gives the Steelers control of their path and reminds the rest of the league that this team, when healthy and locked in, is not an easy out. If you're a fan, this is exactly the type of performance you want to see heading into the most important stretch of the season. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe the Steelers have truly turned the corner after this win, or do you need to see them prove it again next week before fully buying in? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if this breakdown helped you see the bigger picture, subscribe to the channel for more Steelers coverage, and stay tuned because the next video is coming up on your screen right now. One last thing that keeps lingering after watching this game back is how sustainable this version of the Steelers might be if they simply stay true to what worked. There was nothing gimmicky about this win. No trick plays. No unsustainable flashes. It was built on fundamentals, discipline, and execution. That's usually the biggest indicator of whether momentum is real or temporary. Teams that rely on mistakes or one-off explosive moments tend to crash back to earth quickly. Teams that win like this tend to stick around. This performance also reinforced the idea that experience matters, especially late in the season. You saw it in how Aaron Rodgers managed the game, how the offense avoided self-inflicted wounds, and how the defense stayed patient instead of hunting for splash plays. Everything felt controlled. That's the type of football that travels well and holds up under playoff pressure. It's not always pretty, but it's effective, and it's exactly how Pittsburgh has historically found success. Another subtle takeaway is how much trust seems to be growing between the coaching staff and the players. The adjustments at halftime weren't just good ideas, they were executed cleanly. That only happens when players fully buy into the plan and understand their responsibilities. Earlier in the year, that connection felt shaky at times. Now, it feels aligned. That alignment is often the difference between a team that peaks too early and one that peaks at the right moment. There's also a psychological edge that comes from winning a game like this on Monday Night Football. This wasn't a quiet Sunday afternoon result. This was under the lights, with the entire league watching, against a team many analysts picked to win. Performances like this stick in opponents' minds. They change how teams prepare for you. They create doubt on the other sideline before the game even starts. That matters more than most people realize. Still, everything circles back to what comes next. The Lions game isn't just another matchup on the schedule. It's a measuring stick. It's a chance to confirm that this wasn't just about Miami struggling in the cold or catching the Steelers at the wrong time. It's an opportunity to prove that Pittsburgh is evolving into a complete, dangerous team when it matters most. If they bring this same level of focus, physicality, and execution into that game, the conversation around this team could shift permanently, not just from fans, but from the rest of the AFC. That's what makes this moment so compelling. You can feel that something is building, but the final shape of it hasn't been revealed yet. As this stretch unfolds, the most important element to monitor isn't just wins and losses, but identity. Teams that make real noise in January usually know exactly who they are by now. After Monday night, the Steelers look closer to that clarity than they have at any other point this season. They're not trying to be flashy. They're not chasing trends. They're leaning into efficiency on offense, physicality on defense, and situational awareness across the board. That's especially evident in how complementary the football has become. The offense sustained drives and controlled the tempo, which kept the defense fresh. The defense got stops and created short fields, which allowed the offense to stay aggressive without forcing anything. Special teams did their job quietly. When all three phases support each other like that, the margin for error widens, and that's when confidence starts to grow naturally instead of feeling fragile. You also can't overlook how younger and less heralded players are fitting into this picture. When depth pieces step in and don't just survive but contribute, it changes the math of a season. Injuries are inevitable. Adversity is guaranteed. The teams that are still standing late are the ones that can absorb those hits without losing their structure. Monday night showed that Pittsburgh can do that, at least for now. There's a sense that this team understands the urgency of the moment. Veterans know windows don't stay open forever. Younger players are getting a taste of meaningful football in December. That combination can be powerful if it stays focused. The danger, as always, is believing the hype too soon. The NFL has a way of humbling teams quickly, and the Steelers will be tested again, physically and mentally, in the weeks ahead. But belief doesn't mean blind optimism. It means recognizing progress while demanding consistency. This performance raised expectations, and that's a good thing. It means the bar has moved. It means fans are no longer just hoping for survival but starting to ask how far this team can realistically go if it keeps building on what we just saw. That's why the next chapter matters so much. Every snap from here on out either reinforces Monday night or slowly erodes it. There's no reset button. There's only momentum, one way or the other. As we head into the final stretch of the season, the Steelers' ability to stay focused and execute at a high level will be put to the test week in and week out. The road to the playoffs won't be a cakewalk, but there's a clear sense that this team has the potential to navigate those challenges. The key question now is whether they can maintain the level of play they showcased on Monday night, week after week, without falling into the trap of complacency or underestimating their opponents. What's really exciting for Steelers fans is the fact that there's no one magic formula here. This team can beat you in multiple ways. The defense has proven it can step up when it needs to, even without its top stars. The offense has shown it can move the ball and score efficiently when it's clicking. And when you combine those things with solid special teams play and a strong coaching staff, the Steelers are positioned to make a real run, especially when they start to get healthier with key players like T.J. Watt and Derek Harmon expected to return. However, with those returnees, there comes a responsibility to not rest on past success. Having Watt back will be a game changer, but the rest of the defense still has to continue playing at a high level. There's no room for taking the foot off the gas. And while Rodgers has played great, he'll need continued support from the offensive line and consistent production from the running back position to keep this offense rolling. The success of Gainwell and Warren has been crucial, but we'll see how they perform against tougher defenses in the coming weeks. The Lions are up next, and that game is crucial for not just the playoff picture but also for building on the momentum. Detroit is a physical team with a dangerous offense, and they've been rolling as well. It will be a major test for this Steelers team, especially on the road. A win there would cement their status as a legitimate contender, while a loss could potentially put them in a more precarious position. However, with those returnees, there comes a responsibility to not rest on past success. Having Watt back will be a game changer, but the rest of the defense still has to continue